Hi guys. I was just, trying to work all this stuff out. I'm still learning a little bit about it, but I just want to welcome you this afternoon to Monty's chat, and it's good to see you once again. And just really excited, man. So many things are happening nowadays in the world, and it's just amazing. I'm excited. I really am. What can I say? How can you, how can you live knowing that you're living in the end time and that Jesus Christ is about ready to return to the earth? Every day, my wife and I were always talking about, like, when we turn the TV on, sometimes it's just like watching a movie. We don't even have to watch a movie anymore because they don't even have to make all this stuff that's going on in the world nowadays up. It's just absolutely amazing. I don't. Sometimes I ask myself, how can you be an atheist and believe that all this stuff is just happening randomly? It's just so many different things. It's just like it cannot just be an accident. It's just too perfect. You read the Bible, you see everything that the Bible prophesies, and you see everything that you've learned as a person when you're going through life. Well, being a Christian or being a conservative, and reading the Bible from a young age, I knew a lot of the prophecies and a lot of things that were supposed to happen, especially Matthew 24. I read Matthew 24 as a kid over and over and over again, and everything. Now that I'm an old man, an older guy, I'm an old man. The Bible says, I've been young and now I'm old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Well, as far as righteousness, I guess my righteousness is Jesus. I guess I know. But it's just amazing to see the world like that. This picture behind me. Uh, Jesus has everything under control, and he has the whole world in his hand, and we don't have to worry. Uh, it's hard not to worry. What can I say? Just to be realistic, I'm just being honest with you. That's what this chat's all about. I just was thinking about a lot of things that are going on, and I can get the real religious hallelujah. Wow, everything's under control. But when you sit down, you really think, now, is everything under control? And then you really think sometimes, but you just can't help but realize that everything really is under control. Here's a being that created the universe thousands of years ago. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that the world was created billions of years ago. That's your opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion if you believe that. But the point is, he created everything. And if a being that has the power to create this world we live in, and the stars, and the moon, the moon is a star, but when you think about some of the stars that scientists, the astrologists have seen in space, like they're objects in space, like 10, 20, 100 times bigger than the sun. Can you imagine there are stars in the universe the size of our galaxy? And so you sit there and you think, if a creature, a being, whatever he is made of, can hold all that stuff in space and put it out there, and all this stuff is turning around and going around all at once, why would he not be in existence? How could these things that are just randomly out there? When you shoot I was sitting there thinking about it. Sometimes I like to think about my itinerary, but I was thinking about, when you shoot a ball, okay, imagine a pool table, right? And you hit the cue ball, it hits the racks of balls. The balls start going everywhere, just randomly here, there, and they're all bumping each other or hitting the side or whatever. And then, of course, you start playing the game, and then you gradually put all the balls into the pocket. But everything is under control, though. All those planets are flying around out there in space. I mean, you really think about it, the scientists just go, the planets are just out there by themselves and they're just floating around in space and blah, 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 and the universe created itself. Now, can you imagine the chances of these planets, these huge body masses of space, energy, gas, whirling around each other in space? Now they've seen that while everything is going around in space, recently scientists have looked at the activity of the universe and see that the planets are going around while it's going around on its axis, the Earth, and it just it's so much going on. It's the Bible says very clearly, I'm going to use the Bible because it says the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament show His handiwork. And today I'm just here. I'm just chatting. I just want to just tell you. I just some of you may listen to that, and if one or two persons or more listen to my chat every Sunday, it's just incredible. How could all this stuff be functioning and going around in space all at the same time, uncontrolled, unmanaged, unscheduled to do certain activities? So it's a lie. I like it when I was in college. I just couldn't help but when I first started hearing in detail the theory of evolution with Charles Darwin, I just thought, oh, it's just ridiculous. How could we just it was just ridiculous when you sit down and you really think about it. And I was the kind of type of person, I would look at a full moon at night and sit down and get quiet and somewhere, and I would look at the moon and the stars and get by myself and think about reality, and when you have a rational mind and you start really thinking about reality and what's really going on before your very eyes, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, not what the TV tells you or some politician tells you, but you really look at the known universe, you realize how real that God of the universe is, and you realize how wonderful He is, and you realize that this is not a random activity that happened. I just tell people, I say, look, sometimes you just got to turn the TV off, turn the radio off, forget your phone, just put it away, sit outside and get quiet for you and look at the stars. I mean, really think about it. Forget what's going on. The world is not going to be destroyed completely through an atomic war. Everything is going to be under control, and those who die or get hurt or whatever are going to get hurt because it was planned out. They should get hurt, or this or that should happen to them. Although within the things that happen to them, we do have choice. That's a wonderful thing about God. He does give us choice, and we do have things happen to us that are not just random and coincidence. It's not a coincidence. There are so many things that are going on every single day. How could it just be coincidence? Coincidentally, they're going to drop an atomic bomb on your head, right? It was a coincidence, you say. But God's in control, and everything's under control. And this week I was just working outside, and some of the things that popped in my head I just wanted to share with you. And why I would like to share these things, because I don't know if people actually think about these things. Life takes up all your time. Everybody's making money. Gotta make the money. Don't have COVID, but just have a cold. I got to pay the water bill, the light bill, and buy my food, and everybody's running around randomly. But when you think about it, it's just too perfectly controlled. That was my biggest beef with evolution. I mean, I guess I could have made the break and accepted it in college, but that was my biggest beef. Everything was just too perfect. Every animal is perfectly made and designed, and how just something randomly happened. Why should it look this way or that way or have done. If evolution is true. It just, man, when I was in college looking at frogs, we did had to do dissection. I really that's what really caused me. That's what really caused me to know that God was really real. I had to do this paper on evolution, and we had, in school, a lot of times when people do, you have to dissect all different animals. And this particular week when I was in college, we were dissecting a frog, and it was just amazing. I looked at the legs, I looked at the heart, and I peeled back the skin, and it was just too perfect. And not only did we look at it with our naked eyes on large petri dishes. Petri dishes are like big little round uh, saucers, clear glass, with about maybe a half an inch width around it in a circular form. It was just too amazing. When I put the frog on the glass, I started looking at it, and it was just awesome. I could not believe how perfect a frog is. And I just said to myself, this cannot happen by chance. This thing is too perfect. It was just so amazing. I just yelled it out loud in class. This animal's perfectly made. It's perfectly designed. Not only did we look at it with our naked eyes, we used a fluoroscope. At that time, I guess 50 years ago, we used these large microscope. They were like a large microscope, but you could look at living organisms and put something under it, this machine, and look at it. And I was watching the bloodstream and the heart beating, and it was just totally amazing. Oh, let me see if I can find a Petri fluoroscope. A fluoroscope. It was this fluoroscope. I'm going to show you what a fluoroscope looked like. And we're just looking at these animals that we were dissecting that week through a fluoroscope. See if we can see pictures. I just really wanted to show you what it looked like. It was kind of like that. You could look through it. This machine. It was like a... Let's see better pictures of it. And it was just too perfect. Everything was just too perfect when I looked at it through fluoroscopes. This was our this is a fluoroscope here. Oh, that's just a picture of a scope. But we're looking at these objects. Oh, there's another scanner. I guess it's similar to that. Let's make a picture. And we were in our classroom though. We were a bunch of kids, and we were sitting there looking at all these different objects and things. And see if I can make it a little clearer. And we're sitting there watching this thing. And you take this machine. This is just a scanner, I guess, a scanning thing. Something similar, but not as big. It was like a big microscope. And you sit on your desk, and you sit there, and you look at different animals. And it just really, really blew my mind. Everything was... Let's see if I can take a microscope. And I just sat there. Look, they look more like a microscope, but they were made to. Okay, this is a lot closer to what we call a fluoroscope. We're a kid, when I was a kid. It's kind of like that, more like that. This is a microscope, of course, but this fluoroscope was like this, and the platform was like 2 or 3 times as big as that, and you could sit there and you could just look at all these different animals. And that particular week, we were looking at the cardiovascular system of a frog, the heart. This picture here, like, it just showed down there, and then we were just looking at this thing in class, kind of like this guy here. And we didn't have computers in those days. There was no personal, didn't exist. Yeah. But you look at objects this small, so small, you see everything is just perfectly done. So you ask yourself, how in the world could this happen by chance? Now, like the picture, like, how can God, how can the world be sitting out there, the moon and all these other celestial bodies flowing around each other, not bumping each other? And how can people expect you to believe something as stupid as, oh, it happened by chance? Oh, it's just a natural phenomenon, and whatever wording they use, it's just totally ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I just want to chat with you today, man, and just tell you that evolution is just totally ridiculous. So anyway, I went through that, and that's what brought me to Jesus. I mean, really brought me to Jesus. I knew Jesus all my life with the church, and more like I said, religiously. But when I really asked Jesus to come in my heart, that was around about that time. I was 18 at that time. But the reason why I do these chats and try to talk to people and working on videos recently, I'd like to do a little more. I'd like to remind you to always, if you have any questions, if you'd like to know a little more about what I'm doing, what my beliefs, and things that I have to say on different topics, don't forget to go to my YouTube channel, Monte Cagle, just like my name, just Monte Cagle. And you can see some of the videos that I've done, and I hope they'll be an encouragement to you. And don't forget, when you go there, please subscribe. I'm trying to get like 10,000 subscribers this week. I've been doing videos for so long, and I'd like to just improve it and get more subscribers and people to subscribe. And when you click the bell, when the subscribe comes up, it will. When you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll always get the latest videos that I do, and you'll hit here and see what I have to say about different things in life. My particular niche, I guess, would be salvation, God, belief in Jesus Christ. That's really, to me now, after going through what I went through in life, I think that's the most important thing in my life, and I believe it will become the most important thing in your life. It's really the most important thing. I mean, when you look at life, you realize the most important thing is the spirit world. And I just do these videos because I hope that you're listening to it, some of you out there, and that you'll get saved. You're a preacher, get saved, get saved, get saved. You go to church every Sunday, you hear preachers preaching, and it's get saved. But I'll tell you, it's the truth. The most important thing you can do in your life, okay, besides getting married or having children, is to get saved. It's the first and foremost important thing in your life, because that's all there is. Because after this life, you go into the spirit world. I keep telling people that, and I told people that many, many, many times over in different parts of the world, in different languages, and en français, dis donc. Je l'ai dit, il doit être sauvé, quoi. Il faut connaître le Seigneur Jésus-Christ. In Spanish, I just like, tienes que recibir el Señor Jesús. La salvación es para siempre y puedes vivir para eternidad. Es verdad, ¿no? And German. German. I laugh because I don't know why in the world I went to Germany. Anyways. Uh, see, I forgot most of my German now. But okay, jeden Tag, ich will sagen Sie, dass, Senor, dass Herr Jesus ist sehr, 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 sehr schön. Kann Sie haben da etwas lieben, glaube ich da. Ist so auf Deutsch. But look, you can live forever if you receive Jesus. We are going to live forever. And the most important thing about receiving Jesus is whether you're going to live for eternity in heaven or whether you're going to live for eternity in hell. Anyway, the Lord. But this week I was just thinking some very important things that in this faith life, or we walk with receiving Jesus and knowing Jesus, it's important to be rock solid on his word. Jesus is the word. And if you read the word, it's like putting Jesus in your heart. And Jesus is the rock. And it's important. I don't want to get off in 2 minutes with a tangent on these other things, but I tell you, if you go to the whole world and you see the same thing, it's everybody in the whole world is facing the same problems, whether in Europe or the places I've been. I've seen it with my eyes. I haven't gone to the Wall of China yet. Who knows in the future? I'll be going, or I'll be able to fly there. I don't know. I do know, but in Europe, it's the same thing as the people suffer in America. I haven't gone to India, but from what I see and what I see on television and Indian movies and life in general, where I've seen India, people do the same things. They all go to the bathroom, they all eat, they all sleep, they all want to be loved, they all seek love and somebody love in some fashion, shape, or form. From what I've seen in China, looking at Chinese movies, I wasn't particularly interested in Chinese movies years past. I had had a couple of kids, the guys, really love karate movies, Chinese movies. For what they want to watch all these Chinese karate movies and stuff. But anyway, the people look the same, and living around Chinese people in New York or in other parts of the world, it seems the same. So everybody in the whole world, this racial stuff is kind of ludicrous. It's really ridiculous. I mean, I wrote this book recently. It's called Racism and the Cure. And it's my life story. Like I've lived in like 50 countries or more now. And everywhere I go, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's acting racist in some fashion, shape, or form. It's just a sin of a fallen world. It's another form of sin. Being unloving, unkind to other people in the world is just a result of sin. Everything around you, everything that we suffer in this life is a result of sin. Simple. And we make all these things, and people are trying to solve all these problems through money and political turmoil and politics and diplomacy, and it's just not working. And it isn't going to work because the cure is very simple. Racism and the cure. That racism, it just makes me sick. Like you just live all these different. I live with all these different people. I've seen everything there is to see, but on each race, what they look like, their blood. Chinese, white people, black people, Indian people. We're all the same thing. Because we all come from God. We were all created by God. We're one family, actually, and we've just been deluded and deceived by Satan to hate each other. But with the return of Jesus Christ and God taking over the world, we will eventually solve these problems. Even when Jesus takes over, it's not going to poof instantly happen. But I'd say half of the remedy of this racial issues that we go through will be solved when people look and go, bang, God's really real. Oh, there's Jesus Christ. Ah, they're going to see Jesus walking around just like you see me in this video, just like you see your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts. You're going to see Jesus Christ just like that walking around. And you're going to see angels. They're going to, the veil between the spirit world and this world will be lifted. And you'll clearly see these things every day. Those who make it through the tribulation and the coming world wars, they'll see anyway, because when you die, you instantly go into the spirit world. So the thing I would like to tell you is Jesus is going to return. He's here already. He's all around us. You know, he's in the Christians are people who believe in him, who have received him as a savior. But far as an actual physical entity, as real as Biden, that's real as uh, Nikita Khrushchev, or as real as Brezhnev, as real as Clinton, as real as any political figure that you may know, as real as Putin right now fighting in Ukraine. Jesus is as real as that. But for reasons he'll explain to us later, we'll see he has decided the spirit world to be hidden. But he'll be walking around, and his angels will be, they are around us right now, angels and demons and all these creatures. But they will be manifested to these kind of eyes, because some people will live on, they'll live physically into the next world, Jesus ruling the world on earth. So I employ people. The reason why I talk to people a lot of times is I just like to tell them, you know, people talk about so much BS in the world, you know, like this and that, new cars, and hours and hours talking about money, and hours and hours talking about sex, or hours and hours talking about material goods, you know, new shoes, new dresses, new pants, new shirts, and all these different things. They'll spend hours and hours spending their life talking about it, but Jesus and the spirit world is real as that. It does exist. Scientifically, realistically, scientifically, it's very hard to prove that the spirit world is real. It is. I mean, you get doing a spirit experiment to prove the spirit world is real is kind of really tough. So the only thing you can say is just a miracle. God is a miracle. He does stuff miraculously, and he does exist simply because he's God. And it's just mind-boggling, and it's really hard for people to understand it. And people, because we, or man, can't understand how real he is, we have a tendency to say he doesn't exist. just because we're stupid and don't know everything, we just go, oh, we declare, oh, God doesn't exist because I don't understand it. Who would know? I don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay. Who cares what you think? It's just real. It's just real. It's real, whether you believe it or not. So I tell people, look, the Bible's real. God's real. How do I know? Because he's worked in my life through my entire life. I've seen miracles. I've seen things that would boggle your brain. Now, you might think I'm crazy. It doesn't matter. But I've seen it. You know, like people tell me, I've never been to San Bernardino, California. I've never been there. They say, hey, it's really real. It's a city. Well, I've never been there, but there are people who have gone to San Bernardino, California, and see this real. They've walked in the streets and talked to the people from the city, and it's just real. So it's just like that. It's like, I know Jesus is real from my experiences in the spirit world. And although I haven't actually met him physically in his physical format, I've met him in my heart. His voice talks to me and leads me and guides me, and that lets me know there's a God. And it's not, the things that happen to me aren't random, and things that don't happen to me are not figments of my imagination. I'm sorry. Food or empty stomach or going someplace or falling in love and asking God to intervene somehow that I could be with a particular person or not. And He actually does that. Specific prayers and stuff lets me know that God's real. The things that happen to me are not random events. You know, it just didn't happen by chance or accidents. I was looking at a plant today, and this girl said last week, the other week, she said, "Hey, this plant here is brings good luck." You know, I was like, "Okay, good luck." Look, I just know that these spirit beings are real. Having seen them, I've seen angels and I've seen demons. I've actually seen them. I don't know how it works with these kind of eyes we have, but seeing as things just really lets you know that they're real. You don't have to feel bad if you've never seen it. Thank God you've never seen a demon. Whoa, it's pretty heavy. Uh, they're not figments of our imagination, because a figment of imagination, your thoughts in your head does not control being hit by a car or hit or hurt in some way by a creature outside of your body. Anyway, that's a story in itself. But anyway, I would like to tell people, I just really want to tell people, look, I'm here to tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Jesus Christ is real, God is real. I'm sure that many of us are targets by the devil and his crowd and his people, because we tell people all of that, and we encourage people that God is real. He doesn't like it, so he tries to attack us. Now, God protects us and keeps those, many of us, and sometimes he just takes us home. He just takes us back to heaven where we came from, and we get to live with him, and then we get to see actually with our eyes him. We're set free from this body that we function in this realm, and we're allowed to see and live with all these beings that we can't see with these eyes. In some cases, in most cases, for a lot of people. So just because people tell you, "Oh, God is not real because I don't see him," has nothing to do with you. So now, really, guys, God, sometimes you got to think about these things, man. Some dude tells you that God doesn't exist because he doesn't see him. Tells you. Now think about that. I just think about it. That's why I used to think about people tell me stuff. I was very naive about a lot of things that I learned in school and from what people would say. But think, some guy, now let's put it in perspective. Some guy who lived a couple hundred years ago did experimentation. All experiments he tried, he couldn't see that there's a spirit world or see God or hear God. So he declared in himself, well, I believe it happened by accident. I believe everything and every being and every creature in the universe happened randomly. A guy. So he puts down a piece of paper. He writes all his what he thinks, all his thoughts down on a piece of paper. He gives it to the world and said, now this is the truth of the universe. This is why there is no God. And so other theologians or professors or university teachers or people like that read it and they go, this is got to be true because I don't see God either. Think about it. The guy goes, I don't see God either, so it's got to be true what this guy wrote down on a piece of paper. So he gives it to his colleagues. They all read the paper the person wrote, and other professors read it, and they say, well, this has got to be true because this is what the guy experienced. One guy experienced this. Now, there are billions of people now, who've seen spirits, who've seen demons, who've seen angels, whether they're good people or got saved people or not. There are other people who experience the spirit world every day. I mean, when I was in Africa, a lot of, you say Africa, I can only say that because I actually live there. There are people, witch doctors, and we meet witches and warlocks and people in our lives every day, some fashion, shape, or form. They see these demons. They go on spirit trips. They do all these things themselves. And so, anyway, there's a few people who see this thing. They write down a piece of paper. They give it to their professor, different other colleagues in universities, and they say, "Well, this has got to be the truth for the whole world because I have not seen it." Now, they don't ask the little savage over in Papua New Guinea whether he's seen the high spirit or some uh, Native American, whether he's seen the great spirit or something like that. Look, all these people have seen spirits and beings and talk to them and walk with them. And then these spirits and beings, some are good and some are just bad. That's all there is to it. It's the truth. And I'm sure some of you who are listening to this have experience with spirits. They're just real. And it had nothing to do with Darwin or Steve Hawkins or somebody like that. Hawkins or some of these great scholars in college or universities telling people all this, I say BS, really, because it's just BS. I'm sorry. Whether you like it or not, if you got to get a grade, and your subject is biology, and you want to get a grade in biology, you got to regurgitate some of the sayings of these people. Okay, what can you say? That's just what they have to say. But it doesn't mean it's the truth. Everything that someone tells you, you always believe it's the truth. I'm telling you, Jesus Christ is real because I've seen him. I've experienced the effect that he has had in my life, not random things, not coincidences, specific things that I've asked in prayer. God has answered me and helped me through different situations. And I can only tell you that it's just the truth. That's what happened to me. It actually happened. I'm not making this up. It's like so many things. Just go to my YouTube channel and check it out. You can go to my YouTube channel. It's called Monte Cagle, like my name. I've seen crazy stuff that just has nothing to do with coincidences. It has nothing to do with hallucinations. They just happen. And I'd like to tell you that. So, all that to say that, look, Jesus' return is imminent. I couldn't say it when I was a kid. And like most of us, a lot of people don't like for you to talk about Jesus. Oh, you're pushing Jesus on me and blah, 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 blah. And you're talking about God and that's your religion. Look, the return of Jesus Christ is imminent. It's imminent. It's going to happen. It's going to happen because all these prophecies of the Bible were predicted and they're going to happen. I'd like to reassure you, give you comfort. It's not like, oh, I'm wishfully hoping and wishfully thinking that Jesus will come back and maybe he will. I don't know. All the stuff people say. But look, the Bible's really real. God's really real. Now, we as human beings are creations of God, and he has control over our lives. Okay? You just got to accept it. There comes a time in your life when you just realize, look, I don't have control over my life. I don't want to die. Most people don't. I'm just being honest with you guys today. Most people don't want to die. And all these scientists and everybody, like I said, I understand how Bill Gates feel or a lot of these guys, Mark Zuckerberg, or some of these people who study the computer engineering or biology, great biologists and stuff. And like, nobody wants to die. So because these biologists, like Darwin and anthropologists and some of these people have rejected the notion of God, they've decided to say, well, look, there is no God, so I'm going to make myself a God. Just because they would do that doesn't mean it's true. So they are making advances scientifically in these different areas of life and our bodies and biology. But it doesn't mean what they believe about the spirit world, about God, is the truth. Okay, it's true. There's an arm. If you cut your hand, whoop, like that, blood's going to come out. It's just a fact, but it doesn't mean there is no God. It just means you cut your hand. You just cut your freaking hand. That's all you did. Blood came out. And they can see that. Everybody can see that. You can see that. You can feel that. But when you finally take your last breaths, uh, you do die. It's the truth. And sometimes some people experience that, and they just say, well, that's it. Blah, 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 and scientifically it's been proven this and scientific. Okay, yeah, scientifically you can prove certain things, but scientifically there are some things you can't explain. A miracle, it wouldn't if it was explanatory. If you could explain a miracle, then you'd pretty much be able to say it's a miracle and wow, explain the miracle. But a lot of people can't explain miracles, and therefore they say, well, I can't explain it and I don't understand it, so he doesn't exist. God, who created miracles and made these different things happen, doesn't exist. And like I told you once before, when somebody says in their mind, oh, it doesn't exist because I don't understand it, doesn't make it true. So I really want people to get saved because I know there's a spirit world. And I'm thankful for all the wonderful things that God has done for me in my life, and to be able to be born in the West, and not, we weren't exactly poor or anything like that. We were kind of middle class, be a middle class Black American. To be, you know, I had a lot of privileges when I was a kid, and I'm just very thankful. And I know maybe God did that because He knew what I was going to do with what I learned and the experiences I've had. But it's just amazing what He has done in my life, and I'm very thankful. And I was the only child. I had pretty much everything people would want. We had food, we had house, we had clothes, we had cars, and most of my relatives were fluent in, and they were intelligent, and although they were intellectual drunks. They drank a lot, man. I'm sorry. They were really smart. My mother was brilliant. She knew, English and French, and she was super intelligent, uh, Black American. She, but they drank on Friday night, Saturday night. Everybody glug 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 glug, and they would drink and stuff. But it was just a privilege to be able to be educated and stuff. I did. It wasn't only, my parents lived for this, get this diploma and that diploma and this master. They became, a lot of them were masters. I think some of them were doctors. One or so became doctorates in their field. My mother was had her master's degree in English as an English teacher. And I don't know if she ever went for her master's degree in French, but anyway, she was fluent in French. Very good, excellent French teacher. But I even took French from her when I was in high school later on. But the point is, I was blessed, and I've had almost every experience you can have as a child, and as an adult. I was able to travel and go to most of the places people dream of going. I've gone, not because we were rich or anything, but the Lord just used me to go to in these different parts of the world, and I had the opportunity as a Black man. Black people don't go. A lot of people, Black people, do not go there. They don't go to Europe, and they will not go for their whole life because they don't have the money. So it's a miracle of God that I went. My mother used to talk about France all the time. France, 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 France. She spoke French. She always had a French class after school at different times, but I actually went to France. I went to France. I went to the Eiffel Tower. Maybe that's not a big accomplishment for many people in the world, but for me, being a Black American in South Carolina, that is an accomplishment for me. And to go to different places, Rio de Janeiro, and to live there, and to go to England, live in London, and most of the Western places. I spent a lot of time in South America, and I went to Malta and North Africa, some countries in North Africa, and in not South. I never went to South Africa, but anyway, I got a chance to go to Ghana and Nigeria area and West Africa. Senegal and Gambia and places like that, and you just see people, and you just, like I said, it it would really came home to me when I saw a lot of the witch doctors and people doing performances and doing all these things to people, and living in the Caribbean, it's rife with witchcraft. And you always see, you always hear about the Caribbean, and there's a lot of witches and warlocks, and it's kind of a different kind than a European witch and a warlock. But voodoo and all stuff. I lived in Haiti for a while, and you know, it's sad what's happening in Haiti right now. I just really don't feel that good about it. I wish it wasn't like that. It just went from bad to worse. It's just terrible. God, you just pray for the people, and man, what they're going through. But the point is, look, God's real. I just keep bringing it home. And you and me and all of us are going to die. What if we don't die before the return of Jesus Christ? Now, it's real, the spirit world. So there is a heaven, there is a hell. I don't know why the Lord gave me the privilege of traveling. I didn't have a life after death experience. I actually went there. You might say, oh, he was a witch, he was being a warlock. But I had experiences where I went to heaven. And I saw it with these eyes. I actually saw people, and I went, experiences in hell. I'm saying this, by memory. I'm just going by memory, some of the things. I have to, in recent days, I've had a lot of dreams. Like the Bible said that your young men will see visions and your old men will dream dreams. So I have a lot of dreams and stuff all the time. And my kids can vouch to that. And some of my dreams were prophetic, and some were just silly little dreams. But anyway, the point is, everybody has the ability and the privilege to travel in the spirit, to experience these spiritual experiences by receiving the Lord Jesus Christ. I just started a little earlier than a lot of people because I started as a little child. I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, and I started really thinking about the Lord when I was 8 years old, and I started reading the Bible every day around 8. And so I'm sorry, it's just people just go, God, you just saying this. Look, I can't undo what happened, in my life. But anyway, the point is, Jesus is really real. He's shown me he's really real from a young child. I know he is. I don't have. When I got to college and they tried to stuff that evolution crap down my throat, I was like, it's just garbage. I knew it was garbage, and I did want to pass and go to college, but I thought that's what's life. You get older, you study, you graduate from high school, then you go to college, and if you want a good job, you try to study something that can put you in a higher bracket, a higher income bracket. So I studied biology because I wanted to become a biologist, because I realized in the 70s, early 70s, that was the way to go to make good money. Who doesn't want to make good money? So look, the people who make money nowadays are only doctors. Super lawyers and engineers, electronic engineers, and people who work with computers and the computer sciences. So anyway, that's in those days, I wanted to become a biologist. Maybe, try to dabble in being a doctor, but I wanted to be that. And it turned out that I just could not accept that evolution stuff because I just knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. It was a lie. I'm sick. I'm tired of listening to these people who say God's not real because of Darwin. And then I just realized Darwin was just dumb. He just didn't understand. He just didn't have any experiences in the spirit. He rejected the Bible probably at some point of his life. He rejected the truth of God. You know, the Bible says very clearly in Psalms, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Yeah, see, he's a fool. Darwin was a fool. That's what the Bible says. Look, I'll show. I will show you clearly right here. If you're listening to this right now, I just have to be honest. Just say, look, he was a fool because, you know, the Bible says very clearly. You know, listen, I'm gonna show you. In I read the New Testament. I mean, I get a little tripped off now on these new translations, and they kind of mix me up a bit. I get a little twisted around some of the new translations, but it all mean the same. It's all going to come out the same thing. The main thing is to receive Jesus. But look at this. I'm going to show you right here. It says it very clearly in the Psalm 14. It says, "Look at this! Look at this! I saw this when I was a kid too." I said, "Look." It says, "The fool, a fool." You know what a fool is? When you hear the word fool, you don't think of something that's good. You think so that's really stupid, right? The Bible says in Psalm 14, "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There's none that doeth good." So the guy, Darwin, wasn't doing good. He was corrupt. He just didn't accept the Bible, right? The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Have you ever noticed that people who don't believe in God can do almost anything? They'll, a lot of people, they'll do anything. It's like, when I was in Holland, the first time I saw it, I was watching as a young man, people having intercourse with animals, like dogs and stuff. And I was like, God, these people, like, they just don't believe. And they just do anything, just like they're like animals. Not that Dutch people are animals, but I'm just saying this particular kind of people, and a lot of other people in the world, black people, Indian people, I'm sure, Chinese people, whatever, they do goofy things just as bad as white people, white Dutch people. But I'm just saying, you see it all. It's all there. Look, I have to be honest. Look, man, when I was a kid, you saw all kind of magazines, you read all kind of books, and in like forget all the formal. I just don't want to be formal with my belief in God. I'm just average guy. I got saved. I received Jesus in my life. I had the opportunity to read the Bible, and I just believe it. So anyway, it says the fool. So if you don't believe in God, you're basically a fool. You're a fool. You know what I mean? A fool. Do you guys understand what a fool is? A fool. So, if you don't believe in God, you're a fool. So why should I follow another fool? Darwin was a fool. I'm sorry, he didn't believe if he didn't believe in God, and he didn't prove anything. It's to say, you know what they call Darwin's belief is a theory. Do you know what a theory is? It's a possibility. It's a thought that maybe something is true. It didn't say Darwin's truth of creation, of evolution. It says theory of evolution. That means it's a possibility. I don't know. I think the more people say that, I don't know. Everybody seems to be walking around in a dream world. Like they just sit there and they listen to this. Now, these things are theories. Okay, I'm going to show you here what a theory is. I got time today. I'm just kind of hanging out, and I just want to kind of drive it home. What is a theory? I'm just live, and I just want to say whatever. What is a theory? So, what is a theory? Definition. So, let's just get together. Look, man, it's just being. I'm just trying to go on the. I'm just trying to be 100 with you. I'm just trying to be, on the level with you. That I hope that people will start thinking, right? Now, here's a theory. Okay, this is a theory. The theory definition meaning, Marianne Webster dictionary. Okay, I'll just go to definition meaning. It's a I'll try to click that. Anyway, look at this. I don't care. I will be here all day. I don't. Tomorrow I got to go back to work. I work in my tool shed and I produce furniture and all kinds of stuff like that. But today I just feel like BSing around. I just want to tell you the truth. And maybe, what is a theory? And why is it important to know? Okay, critical thinking about epistemology and the notation of theory. So, let me go back. I just wanted to, okay, that's some other thing. People are actually, okay, theory. I'm going to do Webster Dictionary, okay? Theory. A theory, here it is, right? Now you can see it with your own eyes. I'm not making this up. This is a dictionary. It's just happened to be an online dictionary, anyway. A plausible or scientifically acceptable general principle of body of principles offered to explain phenomena. Right? So look. So you see it with your own eyes. Did you see that? Did you see this? Did you see it? It's right there, theory. So evolution is a theory. So I went to college and I was like, I'm South Carolina. I was a black guy. I am a black guy. I was a young black, right? And I'm sorry, I thought about things when I was a kid. I'm naive, okay? And I have been naive a lot. And it's being a young black American in South Carolina, they can be really naive, okay? I was naive in a lot of ways. I've become a little wiser, but I don't know everything. But anyway, theory is a plausible or scientifically acceptable general principle of body of principles offered to explain phenomena. Now, it says offered. So Darwin offered to the world this plausible, possibility. There's a possibility. It didn't say it was fact. It says a belief. Here's another one. It says a belief, policy, or procedure possessed or followed as the basis of action. Okay, so it's plausible, right? It's like plausible, possible. It doesn't say it's a fact, It's just, like. So I went to school and I listened to Darwin. Actually, I sat my first classes of Darwin, and the guy, my biology teacher, he was really into it, black guy. I went to a black university, St. Augustine University. It's a black university in North Carolina, in Raleigh. So here I was, I'm like, God, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I want to, I wanted to study biology. So I had my first hour, I'll never forget. I can remember like the day, it was yesterday. When the guy starts talking about Darwin, I already heard it when I was in high school, Darwin, right? But he was like preaching it was the truth. It was gospel truth. There's no other possibility of life on Earth than evolution. So I heard that. Then the second day I went back to my biology class. The third day I got a headache. I really. And that's when I started thinking, wait a minute. I don't like this. This is not the truth. Because I was all excited, that I want to be in space, and I was young and a kid, and yeah, wow, yeah, I'm studying biology. I'm gonna become a biologist. I'll make a whole book of bucks, a lot of money, because I'm a biologist and there's not too many black biologists, and I was going to be a scientist and I wanted to discover all these different things of life. And so anyway, it gave me a headache, really. Then after about after about a month or so of that, like 6 months, I did the first semester. By the time I went home for Christmas, and I said, I came back to college for the second semester. I said, this is BS. I just like, I don't like this. I really discovered I don't like it because it was a lie. So I knew it was a lie. I saw it as a lie. Okay, maybe you don't believe it's a lie. Okay, if you believe it came from a monkey, okay, you can think all you want to. So anyway, I got sick of it. It gave me headaches, and I just when I'll never forget, man. I just said this is shit, and I just said because in high school, when you're in high school, you just go to high school. You learn, you get a grade, da da da. You study it, you regurgitate what you learned. But in college, it's like, oh man, this is like from here. I got to really know this because it's my future. I got to get a job. I got to go to work. I got to live. I want to have a family. Blah blah blah. Okay. So I sat in my. I'll never forget. I sat in my dorm, and I was like, this is BS. Another. I'm sorry, guys. I just be honest with you. Another white guy with some damn theory. And so I was sitting there. I mean, I wasn't into Black Panthers or racism or anything like that. But I was just like, I had by the time when we united the schools in South Carolina, I was like, I'm just sick of this. What we call desegregated schools. And I remember this kid, they're in our class, man. He was super smart, white guy, and I was like, it's when we integrated the schools. I'm sorry to bring this in, but I just had to bring this in because I'm trying to make a point. And this guy, he was just super studious, man. And everybody would look up to this guy and talk to him about him and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who does he think he is, And later on, he became, super famous, in the world. But anyway, the point is, another guy controlling me. I was thinking to myself because around by that time, James Brown had come out with "Say It Loud" and "Black and Proud" and and then Martin Luther King came and they had the marches and all these things. So it was like by that time I just realized that okay, I'm just as good as anybody else, right? And I was like, I am sick of people telling me what to do. And that's when the whole America kind of made a turn to this racial thing now. It's really heavy. But I said, another guy telling me something some white dude said. And then it's like, not only that, it was like, I knew for me, okay, now it's up to you what you want to believe. It was a lie. I said, another BS lie, somebody controlling my life. So I was like, forget it. I don't want to hear it. So I said, I'm going to go to my room. Now, I didn't disbelieve in God or the Bible because they portrayed God as a old white man. But I knew God was real. Later on, I learned a lot more truth about that he's just a spirit. He's the father of all of us. So it had nothing to do with color. So the thing is, I went in my room and I just was like, God, I am so tired of this. But I got to get the grade. And not only that, I had to start doing a paper on evolution. Now, they tell you now, look, in college, I'm sure some of you experience it. You got to learn this material. You got to regurgitate it to me. And you got to be able to say it really good. Then you're going to get a grade, and then you're passed, right? So, anyway, I said, I can't handle this anymore. I really can't. And so I guess in my heart, that's how it was, So I just sat in my dorm one time, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get heavily into the Bible. And I just said, I'm not going to class anymore. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of this BS. It's just BS. I'm sorry, for those of you who don't know what that means. It's BS, meaning a lie. No, I'll put it in that term. And so I just started reading the Bible, and then I just started putting up quotes on of the Bible on the wall, and I started memorizing. First time in my life, I started memorizing the Bible. By the time I was 18, I started memorizing it. You know, Proverbs and things like that. I thought was wisdom. It is wisdom. But anyway, and then some heavy Psalm quotes, and then I just said, "This is amazing," and I memorized and memorized and memorized for hours, and I post my dorm mates. I had a couple of dorm mates thought I was probably off my rocker, but I just started memorizing the Bible. I stopped going to class, and I said, "Forget it." And that's about the time I told you in my book I talk about. Oh yeah, by the way, get my book. It's in ebook form right now. Racism and the Cure. There it is, right there. I might do some more books for sale, hard copies and soft copies. Racism and the Cure. So, a true life story. This is a true life story, right? This is what actually happened to me. And go to my site, montecagle.com, if you'd like to get an ebook of this and read it. It's my life. It's simple. It's not intellectual. But it explains what I feel and what I went through and the things I've learned and the experiences I've had. You might really enjoy the book. Uh, so I just sat there for like 3 days, man. Just like, I'm sick of this. And praying. It's like, God, if you're really real. And that's about the time I had experience with an angel came to me and told me some things. And I was like, wow. I don't care if you don't believe it, but it actually happened to me. You can say, oh, you had a hallucination. Yeah. I don't care. So, it wasn't an hallucination, it was the truth. So, anyway, about that time, that's what I decided. I said, forget this, man. I didn't, not to say that education is bad, but that particular thing they were teaching me was ridiculous. I think it's wonderful if people can get their degrees or on a particular subject that's useful that you can use in life. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people say I don't agree with that. Just told people. Some people just lie and say that I'm against education. I'm really for education. All of my relatives were educated. All of my relatives went to college, and many of them got their degrees, like I already told you. And I'm 100% for it. But a lot of the education they're teaching nowadays in school is just brainwashing and indoctrination of the devil. Now, so to go on. So anyway, uh, so the return of Jesus. Now, get back to the point. Is that look, the return of Jesus is imminent. I know it sounds far-fetched. It might not sound possible. It might sound religious. Or, like people always look at religion nowadays as a bunch of natives running around with spears and hooga and very simple and dumb. But I'm sorry, Jesus is really real. Now, it's up to you to prove it for yourself. He's already proved it to me. And I know he's real. I don't want to hear any gibberish from some people. But anyway, the point is, the return of Jesus is imminent. We are living in the end time, and a lot of the prophecies, specific prophecies of the Bible, are coming to pass. That could not have happened any other time in history. That didn't happen any other time in history. And if you, I majored in biology, but I minored in history. I loved history. That's one thing. I got pretty average grades in biology because by the time I got sick of it, I was just like, but history, I got A plus in history. I studied many of the Chinese dynasties and the major historical empires of the West. Let's say Europe, So most of the Bible talks about, in prophecy explains like now the things that are going on in Europe, and a lot of some of the things are very specific, and a lot of the situation of the world that would happen before the return of Jesus is clearly, I mean, to the nth degree, explained in the book of Daniel. I'm sure some of you may have heard it, but it's not a joke. It's just really true. So we are living in the time of the end, and a lot of the prophecies are being fulfilled. And there's some specific major. Look, let's be honest. Jesus came. For hundreds of years, they say, "Oh, there's this Messiah who's coming." Okay, there are particular people who didn't receive him as the Messiah, but it doesn't matter just because they didn't want to receive him, didn't receive him as their Messiah. It doesn't mean he didn't come. Just because a particular person doesn't believe something doesn't make it not real, right? So anyway, the world politically was explained to the nth degree in Bible prophecy before the return of Jesus. Now, we are living in those times right now. Every time you turn on CNN, NBC, ABC, Al Jazeera, whatever news media you listen to, BBC, you are watching the Bible being fulfilled right before your very eyes. I'm sorry, I am totally blown away. Every day on the news, I'm watching specific things happen, or a particular country, or most of the Bible prophecy is talking about now, a lot about countries and the state of the world socially, how people would be before the return of Jesus. Now, all the Bible in prophecy is explaining what Jesus said very clearly. He says, as it was in the days of Noah, it will be in the end. Now, we are witnessing the state of the world before God, how it was before God decided to, well, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm going to cause a flood. And now, all the stuff that people are doing sexually, the sexes, he says sex. I said it. Anyway, all the things that people are doing, with the operations, click, and with people becoming this way or that way. I won't specifically say it. But this is the stuff they were doing before Jesus, not before Jesus, before God said, look, you know what? They're messing up my creation. I want it to be a certain way, and they rejected me, and they just weirded out. Like people are doing right now. People are actually losing their mind because they are. They are losing their mind. They rejected the God of the Bible. They rejected what God has to say. So they don't know what to do. And since there is a dark power, there is a power, he is invisible to these kind of eyes. If there was some kind of machine that people could invent, like a Geiger counter, to measure the intensity of the energy from this dark being called Satan and his fallen angels, like they were fallen angels, if you could measure their energy emission with some kind of meter, just like people got meters with the Geiger counters, or they use telescopes to look far in space. You can't look far in space to see certain things with your eyes, but we know it's there because other scientists have seen it with telescopes and other electronic devices. So just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. I can't see the moon right now, but it's real. A little later on, it's going to come around the other side of the earth, and I'm going to look up and say, oh, wow, there's a moon. I mean, when I look at the moon, I see the face in the moon. You can actually see a face in the moon. Why? Why is there a face in the moon? Why? They randomly, the atoms and molecules and rocks and earth moved in certain shift around by itself and makes a face. There's an actual face in the moon. Man, down here I can see the moon very clear because there's not so much lights. The air is not so polluted by the pollution of the north. But I'm just trying to tell you, I look up at the moon, it's crystal clear, and I see a face that is, there's a design of a face in the moon. It really is. And I'm like, wow, I couldn't see in the States too well because it's just polluted everywhere. But when you come out in a lot of these countries, you go to the Middle East, or you go to Africa, or you go to India, some places, and they don't have all this pollution, so you can look up and you can actually see the stars clearly. I used to see the stars clearly at night in Senegal, and we lived in an area where we didn't have a lot of lights. We lived near the beach, and there was not, the city Dakar was 10 miles away. But anyway, at night you look up, man, and you see the star. You could see the stars as clear as a bell. But anyway, the point I'm trying to say is this: look, so it's not random. These things aren't random. They don't just happen. It's designed. It's so hard. You have to stop, and you have to really think about this stuff. Not just CNN says this, and ABC says this, and CBS says this, and Al Jazeera says that, and the BBC says this, and France 24 says that, France 24, whatever, or Eine, the Tagesschau auf Deutsch, and so so you're sitting there and you're watching the news, and they tell you all this gibberish, and you just believe it. But then you go outside and you see something completely different. So that's why it says the heavens declare. You know what it means? The heavens declare the glory of God. I'm just talking BS today. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just going to spout it out, tell you like it is. I don't want to, I'm not going to be sophisticated and intellectual. I'm just me. I'm just being me with you today, online. And all I'm asking you to do is just think about stuff. Don't just accept everything these people tell you nowadays on TV and online or whatever. Think about it, that there's a possibility there is a God. Now, if there's a God, that means everything he says is real. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, not some stupid scientist. God made the heavens and the earth. Do you know what that means? Do you ever sit down and think? Sometimes I sit down and think, God, the reality, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Do you understand how heavy that is? Do you know how many billions of dollars is being spent on spacecraft being shot out in space trying to find the origins of the universe? And are we alone? I get so mad when I hear that. I don't know why. Again, my blood curdles, man, when I hear it on the news. We're setting out this new telescope that costs billions of dollars. People in Africa are starving to death, man. People are starving to death, and they have the money to take and spend on some stupid spacecraft. Okay, I won't say it's stupid. Okay, you learn a lot of things. People need to discover things and learn. And they're spending all this money on this stuff, and people sitting there, all they want is a freaking bowl of rice, man. They just want a bowl of rice. Or they want to get a fish out of the stupid ocean that doesn't even cost anything. And they spent $1 billion on this project, and you're just like, God. So anyway, that's the way the world is. It's a falling state, okay? It's a fallen world. So it's really important to think about it. You're going to die. I'm sorry, you're just going to die. If you don't die before Jesus comes back, if you have the privilege to live until the return of Jesus, okay, that would be fantastic. But many of us are going to die before Jesus comes back. It's not thousands and thousands of years from today. Look, according to the Bible prophecy, it looks like it could be happening within the next 10 or 20 years. The return of Jesus. 10? Possibly. I mean, shit. Every day. Do you know how many asteroids pass the Earth? And John, the Revelator, saw this one big asteroid come down and smash the Earth. And, a third of the people died on the Earth. Okay, I'm sure the globalists will love that. Are the people who are trying to save the planet. There's too many of us. So they're like, God, how can people be so stupid? Why do we listen to them? Why do you listen to these people say, oh, okay, they don't believe in God. Okay, we believe in God. I believe in God. I hope you believe in God. If God made the planet, don't you think he has enough sense to measure how much energy or materials we need to live or keep it going? Don't you think when God designed the earth that he knew there was going to be 7 billion, 8 billion people later on? So anyway, God is real. So, and you're going to die. I'm sorry, scientists, these guys, they're really pretty good. But the point is, like Eve, they're very naive. Scientists are naive. I'm sorry. I was naive. I wanted to be a scientist, and I would have been a scientist. I know I would, no doubt about it. But a lot of these guys who don't believe in God, there are scientists who believe in God and they know God's real, and the science studies for them only proves the uh, existence of God, and it only proves how real He is and how wonderfully He's made the creation. That's what it does for them. Now, people who don't believe in God, okay, sorry, they just don't believe in God. That's their thing. But you don't have to believe it. You are not obligated to believe the theory of evolution and think about your thing, Rick. You don't have to believe it. Nobody's paying you to believe that. Now, if they give me $1 billion, maybe I'll, tell you a lie and say, oh, I believe it. Wow, give me that $1 billion there. I'll go home and I'll, eat good, give me a good house, and, try to help feed the rest of the world. I can't believe it. People actually, somebody tells you, every time I think about it, I just stop. Somebody tells you what they believe. Okay, I know we Christians are telling people what we believe. I'm telling you what I've experienced, man. I did this stuff. I saw this stuff. I saw people die. I saw people come out of themselves with these eyes. Oh, he's crazy. I saw it. I've seen it. I've seen spirits move out of people and in people and all this kind of stuff, and I see a change in their personality and when these things come around or when they die, just before they die. So, anyway, I want to get into that's another subject itself, but I just like, God, you believe something that somebody told you because he dropped a little acid in some solution or found some bone, which they lied. They tell lies! Don't you? They lie! What's that? Neanderthal man and Peltdown man. I can't remember all that stuff because a lot of these things are false. Or they take a piece of a bone and put it in a plastic cast and make it into a skull. They find half of a tooth on the ground and say, "Wow, this is from the Meltdown man or the Java man. Here, see this tooth here I found in the dirt in Africa." God, give me a break, and you believe that? Somebody stuck a tooth in a plastic mold and say this is the head of so and so and so. Anyway, think. Everybody saw, oh, you just been brainwashed. You've been brainwashed. I thought about this shit way before I did any missionary work or anything. I used to think about stuff for hours under the trees in South Carolina as a boy. Look at my house. It's surrounded by pine trees. And I'm telling you, I used to go out there on Saturdays after I cut the grass. And everybody in my town knows that I cut grass. When I was a kid, I cut the grass in my community. I got paid $5 or this or Miss So-and-so. Oh, could you please come cut the grass? I'd cut the grass. And when we had this huge field with the south of the border sign, like Salvador the morning at the other end. I sit there and I cut. I remember never forget the first day I cut this field. You know, I'm just telling you facts. The reason why I'm telling you these facts is because I didn't make this stuff up. It happened. Okay? Everybody in my town knows that I cut grass. They knew I had a little red lawnmower, our lawnmower from our yard. I cut grass when I used to live in the center of town, and we moved out of town at this house on 206 what is it, highway. I don't know if I should say it, but anyway. But we moved out there, man, on 301 highway in Dillon, South Carolina. That's where I'm from. And so I used to sit out there in those trees, man. I used to sit down. I was the only child. I had everything, man. I had it good. I had a car. I didn't have my own car. I wasn't as rich as the white people. But we had a car. Some of the first black people in the town, they have a car. A lot of black people had cars, but I'm saying, but we had luxury cars. We had Cadillacs. My grandfather used to always come from Washington every so often in holidays driving a Cadillac. So anyway, we were affluent. I'm sorry. I don't care. I mean, what can I say? We had money. We weren't rich, but we had money. So the point is, I had books from a kid. I used to read. I used to go get Popular Science, Popular Mechanics. I used to read those books for hours, and I think I was one of the first few black people to have a whole set of Encyclopedia Britannica when I was a kid. And then the whole version for the kid. Now, this was before the days of computers, right? So I read. I didn't read as much as my mother, as much as she wanted me to read, but I read books. And I studied books. I looked at magazines, and I thought about some of the things people said. And I'm sorry, I mean, I just sat out there, man. In South Carolina, it was before heavy industrialization or cloud seeding or whatever they do now. That's another subject in itself. So I would sit there for hours, man. I'm not lying. Hours looking at the trees. Out in the fields. After I finished cutting the grass, I'd be so tired, man. It was a whole big field. I used to push. My mother and father, I was like, why don't they get a rider lawnmower? After I left home, they got a rider lawnmower. But before I left home, there was no rider lawnmower, man. It was like pushing that lawnmower, man, away. And when I'd stop, sometimes in the summer, it'd be hot. You know, South Carolina gets hot. And my mother she had the house freezing cold. Got this big air conditioner system, you know, 40, 50,000 watt BTUs, man. It was like powerful. And she would have the house freezing cold. And I was like, God, I don't want to go in this, like, going to the North Pole. So I'd sit out in the yard. The mosquitoes after 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the mosquitoes would be gone. So you could just sit out there, man, for hours, and you just look at the stars and talk to God and cry out to God, and just like, wow, man, you know, and you just thoughts would come to your head. It was just like flowing energy and hearing the thoughts of God, asking him questions. But you know, I didn't know it wasn't like, oh, I'm super smart, and I was just like, whoa, talking to God. I didn't know I was talking to God in a lot of cases. I just thought, that's a thought. And thoughts would come to my mind about the universe and stuff, and I'd be like, whoa, man. So when I got to college, it all came out. And it's coming out now. So, you know, sometimes people freak out. You know, people say, oh, you know, a lot of people who do know me know when I left college. One day I just left college and said, I've had it with this. And I joined a youth group. I did. I don't have any qualms about it. I don't feel bad about it. They say, oh, you joined the youth cult. And this is the way you think like that. Look, man, I've been thinking this way all my life, that there is a God, and he's really real, and his word is the truth. So anyway, all that say this, look, You gotta come to the realization that it's either truth or it's a lie. Either if there is no God, then all this stuff that people are doing right now is a random, all the Democrats and all this crap we're fighting in the states right now, and the Republicans and all this stuff is just a random uh, act of history, of evolution, of the evolutionary process. And Mark uh, uh, Mark Gutenberg and all these other guys and billionaire people who are trying to make these robots and stuff. This stuff is happening, man. Do you know they're actually made robots? What the heck do you think that is? When you see those one-armed things pick up a car in a factory, what do you think that is? Do you think it's just, it's animation of an arm working? It's a robot. It's connected to a machine that's called a computer. I'm talking like that because people need to wake up, man. All that stuff in science. I used to look at this magazines, I used to like my relatives, my uncles love DC Comics and Marvel Comics, right? And so I used to read. I didn't read a lot of intellectual books. I'm sorry, you probably have gathered that by now. But look, man, I'm watching, Manga's Robot Fighter, and I used to read all these magazines. I had time to do it. I wasn't working. I used to sit there in my backyard and watch all those people. I used to watch black people picking cotton, cropping tobacco in my backyard. Later on, we moved out to the country, and I could just sit at home and watch them. I had a gun when I was 20, when I was a kid, things like that. And so, all that to say, look. Uh-oh, my camera's weirding out again. Oh, God. But I was just trying to tell you, look, I guess I'm talking too much, but the point is, look, there's a God. And also, too, like, if you're still there, the camera's losing it. Maybe I got too many windows open. Let me see. Close some of these windows. Give a little energy to the computer. So the point is, there's a God. He's really real. He really loves you. And you have to be careful what people tell you, okay? Oh, you went to blah, blah, blah. You were with this group and you learned all these different things. Who the hell cares? I'll say it like that. People learn. And they're going to learn some way. They're going to learn this. They're going to learn. But I'm sorry, a lot of this stuff I learned when I was a kid. And I love the situations and the experiences that I had that taught me about the spirit world. More details about it. I saw it, but explanation and seeing it again and kind of understanding it more, reading more Bible, and having other men of God, pastors in churches and pastors in groups, you want to say, whatever, and mainstream churches, whatever. I'll say it like that, taught me that. And Pentecostal and Presbyterian churches and Baptist churches. And a truth is a truth. It doesn't matter what denomination says it. If it's the truth, it's just the truth. Catholic Church or Protestant churches, it's just, a truth is a truth, right? So anyway, we're getting to the end. Jesus is real. He's coming back. It's not a joke. It's not like, since the fathers have gone to sleep, all things continue as they were. It's going to happen. Let me see if I can knock it back into. It's still not working. Anyway, the point is, Jesus is real. And I guess we'll move into the radio stage. I just feel like talking crap today. It's not crap, it's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I am telling you the truth. This little black guy from South Carolina that experienced all these experiences. The fact that I'm this little black guy from South Carolina, went around the world, lived with all these different people, lived in different nations, spoke to all these people in the world, is a miracle. It's a miracle, man. Are you kidding me? Some of my kids like, well, Like, oh, we travel around the world. How many people dream of going to different places that my kids and my family is going to, and done some of the things that my family's done? Anyway, let me see if I can get this thing to work a little better. Because I just feel like talking like Hulk. I just want to talk some sense into your head. Let me try this. Let me do the camera. See if I can get this camera to work. I'm just trying to talk some sense into your head. You know, still not. I'm just trying to tell people the truth, man. Look, it's not a joke. It's not something I'm figuring out and trying to. Look, Jesus is coming back, and you need to get ready. I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell people, look, if there's any possibility of you hearing what I say today affecting your life, I hope that it will. So you are going to die, and so you can experience these different things in your life. Like I told, you can go to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to go there and watch some of the videos I do. They're pretty basic. I'm learning a little more and more about it, and I'm getting better and better all the time. So I hope that you enjoy the videos that I'm doing, and that they will be an encouragement to you. So, so if you receive Jesus, you will go to heaven. If you ask him in your heart, you'll go to heaven. Because I tell you, like I said, I was scared to death, man. Like Grandpa was like, if you do this, you're going to hell. If you look at that girl. He said, if you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do that, you're going to go to hell. And, you could lose your salvation. And I was freaked out about it. But I was so excited when I heard the doctrine, let's say, you could say, of Protestants who were speaking about being born again. You know what I mean? Like, you can read it in the book of John. You might hear people say that all the time. Like, let me see if I can get this camera to work. Being born again. And it's just amazing. Like this picture. Where does this picture? It's just blows by. Here's God holding the whole universe up for us, and He's controlling the whole universe. And people just go, "Oh, there is no God," and all this stuff. But anyway, there is a God in heaven, so you're going to die. Whether I don't care what Mark Zuckerberg says or a lot of these scientists say, and they cannot download your spirit. I mean, how just because the people do these different experiments or say these things doesn't mean it's the truth. Okay, I know they can do a lot of surgical procedures nowadays that we were not able to do a few years ago. And we're learning more and more about the body and how it works, and we're actually learning how to control things electronically through our advances in medicine, and it's good and all stuff like that. But your spirit is controlled by God, and He has decided, and even your body, really, if He wants to heal you, God will heal you. If He wants to say that the world's this way and that way, it's just, He has a right. He made the world. Why shouldn't He? He's God. And just because these people get mad because they want to be God, or just because these people get mad, doesn't mean that God isn't real. Just because they want to be God, and just because the spirits that controlling them want them to be God. This camera, I wish it would work. Yeah. But anyway, it doesn't mean that, it's like these guys, you look at these world leaders today, and they want to be God, but they're not God. There's a God. And He just so happens to have a lot more power, wisdom, and understanding, which is far superior to theirs. So they're going to have to come to that realization. It doesn't mean they come from a different world, or God is some kind of alien that used technology to create us. I don't know how He does it, or miracles and things like that, but I just know they work. And He made the universe. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, you know, with the heaven." I just will thought one of the main things I want to get across today, if I hope you're listening, is that there's a lot of people life after death experience. Some of those experiences that you see online, they're pretty good, and I'm sure they actually happen to people. But some of these people are saying things that don't go with the scriptures. Now, I because they're lying a lot. I mean, it's so many lies people are saying nowadays. Not online, not false information, but just the people that say it really is the truth and say the real information. They're lying. A lot of these people are just outright lying to you. Could you? I mean, I can't believe. Like a few years ago, I used to hear, "Oh, people are lying." And it's like it goes through your head. Oh, they're lying. But maybe 3 or 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I came to the realization they really are lying. Would you wake up? People are lying. Lying is not the truth, and you got to understand that some of the authorities are lying to you about certain things. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be, and the more you'll understand why God's really real, and you can stop and take this brainwashing or indoctrination out of your head. And a lot of outstanding speakers, but Farrakhan, Malcolm X. I don't know a lot of the, you know, there's some of the other guys besides black people speaking. There's a lot of people that are just telling you, a lot of smart people. I mean, real smart people. This guy, Alex Jones. People can talk about Alex Jones. The guy is saying a lot of stuff that's true. Okay, I don't care if he's white. But it's just true, And Kanye, he's saying a lot of things that he's taking it to the other extreme. But I'm just saying, he came to realization that he's been lied to all his life, and when you finally realize that, it just blows your mind, and you go, God, they really don't care about me, and they really don't love me. And I learned that in high school through an event with this racial thing, when the schools desegregated. It doesn't mean that white people hate you. It doesn't mean that all black white people are systemically racist, But this guy, I'll never forget in college, in high school, man. We had a thing. I put this in my book. We had a student council meeting, and we were arguing about the school colors, the new school they created for the county, for high school. And we had this meeting, and we were arguing, all day. And finally, this guy, who was a white guy, said, "Well, we can't do anything about it, and our hands are tied." I got so mad. I was like, "Rah!" That we're not going to change the school around because the white high school and black high school united. Now that's not a reflection on white people in general. They're just in control. They have all the money. They have all the power right now in a lot of situations, and that's the way it's just going to be until Jesus comes. And it's not you can do about it. I don't have to feel bad or like, well, it's just a part of history that they control. Just like black people control in Egypt during the time of Egypt, we control our world. It's the first world power, the Egyptians, and they were black. I'm sorry, you just got to understand that. It was not Charlton Heston or this other actor, I forgot, or Marilyn Monroe, whatever name, what was his name? The girl who was in that movie, The Ten Commandments. They were not white people. Egypt was a black empire. It still is pretty much black people. I mean, Egyptians, you put them in America, you say, look, he's a light-skinned black guy. Egyptians, they're in America. That's what I saw. I thought when I went to the Middle East, it's just like all my friends that I went to high school with. So anyway, so Egypt was a world power, and we did a lot of crazy things to other races, and we ruled the world, and the world is just reversing right now. That's all that's happening. So just like they did a lot of bad things, black people did a lot of bad things. And it's just, racism is a sickness of sin. I'm sorry. It's sin. It's another manifestation of sin, and no amount of money, legislation, or powers is going to stop it. But anyway, when you die, when you hear these, just a little heads up, when you watch these life after death experiences, you have to really kind of compare a lot of these things with Scripture, and maybe they really did see all those things that they saw, but I don't know. It's like the Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish but have everlasting life." John 3:16. If you believe in Jesus, because people say, "Oh, a lot of people just believe," and they think they're gonna escape hell just because they believe. It would be kind of crazy. Like this guy that died with Jesus, the thief, he said, "Oh, remember me in your kingdom come. It's truly the day you'll be with me in paradise," right? So the guy died, Jesus died, and the guy went with him to paradise. Now, you can get into technical and philosophical arguments about that. I don't know about a lot of these arguments. We're going to find out. You're going to find out anyway, but it's a good start to believe and receive Jesus Christ as your Savior and know He's really real. That's another point I was just really wanted to get across. I mean, really, you need to really think about it. Some people, all of us, and read the Bible. Read the Bible yourself. Read it. Read it. You don't have to read it or live it through some priest or through some pastor. Read the Bible. Now, what version? I mean, it's up to you. Whatever you grew up with or you feel comfortable with, read it. They pretty much got it right in all different versions. Some are off, but basically, the Bible, the international standard and things like that. But I read the King James because that's what I grew up with. I've been reading that since I was like 8. I mean, really seriously reading it. And I know the King James. To me, it's understandable because I read it all my life. And these new versions are pretty good, but sometimes I just don't get into it that much because I know the King James version. That's the part I grew up with. So anyway, really read the Bible. And I do believe that once you receive Jesus in your heart, maybe I'll talk about it again when I come back another time, but once you get Jesus in your heart, once you're saved for your life, for life. And what you do after that, this or that, and everything else. Because a lot of people in these life after death experience have seen people that they thought shouldn't be in heaven, and they were there in heaven. Sometimes their relatives are in heaven. They go like, "Why is the person?" I know a lot of my drunk relatives were very sweet, and they loved God, they loved Jesus, and I know they're in heaven. I've seen it, and my own mother. Dun 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 dun. Here he goes again. My mother came to me when she died. I'll tell you the truth. That actually happened. My wife can tell you, and my father, if he was alive, would tell you. I mean, I call my father up and say, "Hey, my mom, what's wrong?" My mother goes sick, and she got better, and I went to live in another town in America years ago, and I thought she was fine. Till one night I was dreaming this. I don't know, it was like a vision. It was more like a vision than a dream. I was young then, so young men still see visions, or old men still read dreams. But my mother came. She said, "Monty, are you all right? Is everything okay? Are you happy? Are you?" And she was like, and I was like standing next to my bed talking to Mom. "I'm fine, And I got ready to give her a hug. And when I got ready to give her a hug, it was clear. It was just like daytime. It was just like being awake, and it just blew my mind. And then I called my dad, that day after that vision I had. And he said, "Oh, my son, man, we've been trying to find you. We can't find your number anyway. Well, your mother passed a few days ago." And I'm like, "Oh," I sat down and cried like a baby, but it just blew my mind. So I knew, my mother came to me and she talked to me and stuff, and I was like, "Whoa." I didn't have to go through some medium or witch or something like that. And I don't think it was evil. My mother loved Jesus, and she was a real God-fearing woman. But she was into some other stuff too. I'm sorry, just to tell you the truth. She was an Eastern Star. In the Eastern Star, they're just like the Masons, and you really knew what that stuff was. Look it up and see online about what they practice. Because my mom started. She got this Eastern Star years before, and started going to these secret meetings, and she could never tell us what it was about. Later on, I learned what it really was. But the point is, the spirit world is real. You need to really consider it and think about it. It's not a joke. It's not a theory. It's not a possibility, or even for me, it's not a belief. I know it's real. Just like when I eat Domino's pizza, it's just a pizza. Some people say, hey, this thing is called Domino's pizza. And I go, you sit there and you go, wow, really? They say, no, I don't believe there's Domino's pizza. But if you go to Domino's Pizza, you can eat a Domino's pizza. Tastes good. You can eat a Pizza Hut. You may not live at Pizza Hut, but if you go to a Pizza Hut, you can eat a Pizza Hut. It's the same as Jesus, the same as God. If you go to God, if you go to Jesus, you can experience Him. He's really real. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's not something that you figure out or make up or something like that. So anyway, I think I said enough BS today. I talked today, but anyway, it's not BS. It's the truth. I'm trying to tell you the truth. And I just want to talk to you on the level. I'm like really down to earth. I don't want to talk, it's not the flowery language and, nice sermon on Sunday. I'm just being honest with you. Look, God's real, and all you got to do is receive His Son. To start off learning more about the spirit world, ask Him into your heart. I know it sounds like, how can you ask God into your heart? Blah, 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 all that stuff. But look, say a prayer. Prayer is just talking to God. And all you do, you just, whatever your thoughts are, that's just doing it when I was a kid. It wasn't because I learned it in churches or anything. It's just I sit there and I go, God, if you're really real, you can talk to Him. Just like I did when I was like 8 years old, sitting out there in the field, man. So just ask Him in your heart. You can say a prayer like, Jesus, come into my heart, forgive me for my sins, and give me your gift of eternal life, and fill me with your Holy Spirit. You can say a simple prayer like that to God, and you really mean it with all your heart, He does it. And it's forever. Forever. I'm sorry the camera went out, but receiving Jesus in your heart's forever. It's not, I did, oh God, I woke up this morning, and I did this, and it was wrong, and I know it's evil. Some things the church tells you just evil is not evil, but anyway, in religion, I say church, religion, some of religions thing. But for me, it's not a religion. It's just a way of life. It's like my left hand or arm or my left foot or right foot. It's just as real as that to me. It's not something I imagine or I have to whip up and roll on the floor and do all these things. It's just the truth. So I tell you, do that prayer. Receive Jesus in your heart. Ask Him to give you that gift of eternal life. That's all I can say. And you'll see from there. We'll try to cover it a little later, but today I just want to go online and just share some things. Maybe you're there or not. Maybe you're there. Maybe you kind of flaked out or whatever, but I'm just telling you the truth. Jesus saved me. He gave me eternal life. It's really real. And He'll do the same for you. You can have the same experiences. You can have the same assurance that Jesus is there. Just ask Him into your heart. So ask Him into your life. I'd just like to wish you a really nice Sunday, and enjoy your Sunday resting. Or read the Bible. If you have never had a Bible, read one. Enjoy your family, enjoy a meal, and see you soon. Bye-bye.